What's up, everybody? It's Randomly Selected, powered by the Silver Room. My name is Mario. Thanks so much for listening to this show. Please don't forget to rate and review. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet for Silver Room Block Party, what you waiting on? SilverRoomBlockParty.com. You can use the code IKnowMario for 20% off at checkout. Block Party's going to be banging. You should be there. Today, we talk to Eric Williams of the Silver Room, and we start our conversation talking about Bronzeville Winery, why this is the last block party, and we go down block party memory lane. I know you're going to dig this. It's Eric Williams on Randomly Selected.
Yeah, it's been good, man. We've served over 45,000 customers.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, on Cottage Grove. So it's been good. A lot of learning, a lot of... it's been fun. It's been a really good experience,
I must say, every time I've been there, for whatever the situation was, recording or just hanging out or whatever, it is one of my favorite spots on the South Side. And I didn't think I would adapt that quickly to it. But there's some elements of Square One in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Square One-ish.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Some elements of Square One in there. There's a little bit of Silver Rooms vibes in there, and then it's just this whole other thing that CC has done and that Derek Westbrook have done. They've created, along with you, of course, a really cool place to just sit and have a talk and have a nice meal, drink some good drinks, and listen to some really solid music. Mm-hmm. And I just kudos. Sure. As they say, kudos to you.
It's an updated version of Square One. Mm-hmm. That was 2001. This is 2023, so 22 years later. Actually, well, it's funny. It's almost as if it was born in 21, we opened in 2001, opened in 22, it would be 21 years old.
Yeah,
that was not planned.
Right,
to be 21 years old from Square One. But yeah, I mean, it's starts with the ambiance, the music, the vibe, the food, the wine, obviously, a place in the neighborhood in Bronzeville to go and gather, So that was kind of the point. Something a little bit different. It's somewhere between a restaurant and a bar. It's a wine bar, not a winery technically, but it was really meant to be a place for the folks in the community.
I think there's talk of other things coming into Bronzeville, other people trying to get into the neighborhood now and stuff. And you weren't the first black business by any means to be in Bronzeville, but it is of note that there's an uprising, if you will, of businesses owned by black folks in that neighborhood again. It's a really cool thing to see happening. And you got interesting neighbors on both sides of you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm really a big fan of the winery, and I'm appreciative of you, of course, brother, for doing it. You mentioned something about things having a timeline and age-wise. This block party is old enough to vote. It's 18.
Yeah.
There's been 18 of these things.
It's technically the 21st year.
Yes, but we took the 18. Time off
we took 3 years off.
When you moved to Hyde Park and then COVID.
Right, 2 years of COVID.
And if people don't know, this is the last block party in this iteration. And without going into depth or too deeply into the why nots, I think it would be fair to just briefly explain why this is, in this iteration, going to be the last one.
Sure. As you know, because you were there from the very beginning, this was, and I just said it was more of a customer appreciation. It's how I kind of look at it, how we started. It was some friends, some customers who had talent. My one friend could DJ, my other friend, Slang was a visual artist. He could do graffiti. My other friends were breakdancing. It was a way to bring people who I knew together in this little small alley next to the store. It was a celebration. That's really what it really was about. It wasn't about any money at all because there was no money really involved because everything was, we had all the equipment. Me and Ron Trent had equipment back in the day. I lived above the store. We powered it from my house.
Right.
That was really it. We didn't even have an actual stage. We had cinder blocks and a piece of wood, So it was a very, very, very light lift in hindsight. And that was it. People came out and they had a good time. And so, over time, because it was free and it was fun, it kind of grew and grew and grew and grew. But it was never really meant to be a festival. It was meant to be an actual block party.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, that first time I hosted in Wicker Park, I was stunned. I'm like, man, that's a lot of people. I mean, having been through the Lit X era, we never did anything like that. Triple X never did anything like that. You know what I mean? Howie and Beat Parlor, they never did it. It was like, wow, it's a lot of people here for this.
Right.
For the store. People are digging the store and they're coming out. I missed the year that Kool Herc was there. I missed the first one and the second one.
That was the first 2 years, right?
Yeah. And
those were the ones in the alley, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I heard Kool Herc, I was like, okay, I have to go to the next one.
Right.
I have to be at the next one.
Well, the reason I got Kool Herc because so the first year we did it, Peba never did it. Eric Roberson at the time was Arrow. That song had just come out. Change for me. Change for me. It just come out, and he happened to be in town, and I knew him through somebody, and I knew my friend Kennedy at Casa de Sol.
Yes.
And so he came by, and I was like, "Hey man, would you perform?" He goes, "All right, cool." And he's like, "I was like, I don't have any money." And I was like, "We can do a trade." He came, and never forget, he actually got a leather bracelet.
Wow.
Eric Roberson got a leather bracelet from the store. He goes, man, can I take this? I'm like, cool. And that was his payment. And he came and sang Change for Me.
Nice.
I'll never forget that. But that was the kind of vibe. It wasn't really about, there was no money. So it was like everybody just came and did it,
Yeah.
The first two in the alley. Then the second year, I was like, okay, this is a real block party. We got to have Kool Herc.
Right.
Because
he's the man.
The inspiration behind the block party came from Jamaica,
Absolutely.
Via New York, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this idea of a block party, bringing people together. So I kind of had to have Kool Herc come and do the second one. So he came and did the second one.
Yeah, I regret is strong. I am unbelievably disappointed in myself that I missed a chance to see him because he means so much to us in the culture and all. But when Tina M. Howell goes, okay, you missed Kool Herc, don't miss the third one. And I think the best thing that ever happened to me was Malik Yusef not showing up to host.
I talked to him today, by the way.
Did you realize? He didn't show up, and I ended up hosting from the beginning to the very end.
Yeah.
And I was so done by how many people were there, and I had just started the radio show at the time. I wasn't really doing poetry as much. I was kind of separating from that and trying to really concentrate on being good on the radio and all. And that day changed my trajectory forever. Being able to maintain a stage, to see how it was operating, and to see how you guys had it organized, and then to see the people like my man Ice House, the dude he had a 6-pack of Ice House, and he just wouldn't stop dancing even when the music wasn't playing. I'm like, okay, Ice House, and you're the man today, Ice House. And that was like, it was such a good vibe and such a good feeling. I would ask about fondest memory, but I think we both had the same one, the day it rained and nobody left.
That was one of the best ones for sure. So you did the third block party. Mm-hmm. I think we actually did 12 in Wicker Park. Mm-hmm. Or 11 and 12, which a lot of people don't know. It started in Wicker Park.
Right.
So the vast majority of the block parties were in Wicker Park.
Right.
And, they grew and grew and grew and grew. The first one, I don't know. I still don't know the number. 100 people. It wasn't a lot of people at all. And I watched a video. I had a video from the second one. Ooh. There was like maybe 50 people there. So they weren't, they were small, and I think by the third one, when we moved down the street, it started to grow a little bit, and every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We had a little small stage, meaning a table with a DJ booth behind the store. Then we put one on Evergreen. But I mean, I don't know, like my fondest memories, honestly, are just the kids that have fun. That's always like my best memory. It's like the families. My mom used to come out all the time.
Yeah.
My grandmother would come out. They had a little lawn chair, and they'd sit down all day long. They get there at 11, 12 o'clock and just be there the whole entire day.
See, Hakeem and Holly.
Yeah. So, so some of my best memories, I mean, like the nighttime, when Ron's usually playing, that's a great memory on the stage when everybody's dancing. But I probably equally enjoy all the daytime stuff. The people, jumping rope and people just kind of running around, just random people seeing one another. I just love it all.
I asked Eric, how did the block party influence Silver Room? And we go back down memory lane some more for early block party memories and the early days in Hyde Park, too, and how that transition from Wicker Park to Hyde Park happened. We also talked to Eric about booking talent and his theory of no headliners and no main stage. Interesting. It's Eric Williams on Randomly Selected.
Well, I had to justify doing it, for the first, especially in Wicker Park.
Yeah.
Because we weren't making any money. It was free. But again, we didn't have porta potties, we didn't have generators, we didn't have security. So that's several $100,000 that I didn't have to spend at the time. So I was still coming out of pocket, you know, $5,000 and $10,000. Even I think the last one in Wicker Park was $15,000, $20,000. I could justify saying, okay, the store is much busier.
Right.
So we could kind of make that up in extra sales for the store and then marketing. So I had to justify myself of why I'm spending as much money, you know, from the store. So that's kind of how I, you know, said it made sense. And then it was marketing for the store. People heard about the store from the block party at one point. At first, it was definitely people heard about the block party from the store. Now people heard about the store from the block party. So it was really just marketing. You know, yeah, I mean, we were busier, and that was really it. You know, but at some point, I couldn't really justify the cost.
Yeah.
You know, from putting on this big event.
And then we talk about this a lot. It began to get too wide. And the neighborhood can't support all of that weight.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite memories of block party definitely were the first and second ones in the alley. Then you move down the street, it gets a little bit bigger. Those were all great, but I mean, it got bigger and bigger every year. So the first year I came down here, I moved here in I think it was March or April. So I was just trying to get settled into the store. So I wasn't even trying to do a block party that first year because I was trying to get settled into the store, you know. Right. And I wanted to kind of get to know the neighbors and blah, blah, blah. So we did it the next year. But that whole entire year, people kept saying, you gonna do the block party, you gonna do the block party? So I think the anticipation had kind of built up over that year. So when we did it here the first year, it was just a lot of good energy because people were looking forward to it. And we didn't block off the street at that point. It was just Harper and that little parking lot over there. And the people who had never been on the South Side, some of those people came for the first time. They were like, oh, okay, this is dope, you know? So you had North Side folks come down and you had South Side folks come down. And then I'm like, okay, it was pretty crowded by the end of the night. And I was like, we're going to need more space if we do this next year. So that's when we went to the Alderman and blocked off the street, I think down to Harper, I think, the first year.
And down to...
No, I think the second year was Blackstone.
Yeah.
And then the third year was Dorchester.
Yeah.
So it was like we kind of kept moving down the street. And then we did 4, I think, over here. And I'm like, okay, if this keeps going, we're going to be down there by Cottage Grove. You know what I'm saying? So you can't keep just moving further down the street. And so, again...
The Dreckside block party.
Right, you know, and then knowing that we had, you know, had been doubling almost, you know, the attendees. Okay, you had 2 years off of COVID. If we did it again, 2 years off of COVID, there was just no way. Yeah. It wouldn't have worked. I mean, because we couldn't. I remember trying to get into the store. I couldn't even get into my own store.
I couldn't get to see Avery, and he was literally around the corner.
Yeah, you couldn't walk. I'm like, there's no way. So even if it wasn't a financial thing, there was no way you could do it again over here. It just was just no way. And then you're impeding in the neighborhood, and it's just, it would have been crazy. So you had to move it somewhere else. So that's where the move came from.
Hey y'all, Mario, randomly selected in the building. What's happening, everybody? To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, we've got something special for you this summer. It's time to elevate your glass with Lolly, a sweet wine infused with a hint of spirits that'll make your taste buds groove. Lolly brings you the perfect blend of sweetness and spirits, no snobbery attached. With Lolly, it's about embracing your unique taste and enjoying every single moment, just the way you like it. Lolly. Savor every sweet moment. Was there a performance or two that happened here on the street, as we will call it, on 53rd when it moved out of Harper Court that you remember?
Toby and Guenye was dope.
Yeah.
Master Ace, I love Master Ace.
That was
dope.
The one.
Pete Rock, when he played down there, that was great. Of course, when Ron Trent always plays Into the Night, that's always great. The one in Harper Court was cool. Madison McFerrin actually played, and no one was there.
Yep.
She played at Harper. It was like raining.
I remember.
I was like,
that.
this is great.
This
like,
is
there was
perfect.
no one there. Yeah. So all in, I remember Vic Lavender playing in the store. He was killing it. So just all like the little randoms to me, because we actually programmed. Me and Rob McKay programmed the entire block party. So it was many stages that people might not even known about. It was the ones on the street.
Had stuff in the stores.
We had Joey Jaden. We had, before it was Virtue, it was called 810. In the Silver Room, Connect Gallery. We had something in this space right here on the corner, which is now this.
That's right. It was the liquor store.
We had programmed. No, not a liquor store.
Afterwards.
No, it was empty.
Yeah,
it was
that's
empty.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So we had programmed something in there. We had stuff all over.
Tall black guy performed in there, if I'm not mistaken.
And the promontory.
Yeah, that's right. And at the prom, too.
So that was fun, kind of like bouncing around and having people perform, and plus all the vendors, So it was a lot going on.
I don't have my notes on who's performing at this year's block party, but Moonchild is performing. Mick Jenkins is performing. Tall black guy, the aforementioned, is performing.
Leroy Burgess.
You got this from
Log.
That
keeps me going. That's my jam.
I know. That's gonna be dope. It's been a pretty interesting lineup if you go back through the years of all the really talented people who have performed, people that folks know and people that they've never heard of.
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because the block party was never meant to have quote unquote headliners.
Right. There's no main stage.
Adamantly against, and you know this, using the term headliners or main stage. Like everybody is a headliner in somebody's eyes, right? If I say this, if your son is playing for the first time and he's 16 years old, and you're proud of your son who's DJing for the first time,
right.
He's a headliner anyway, because your whole family coming to see this your son. So, but it was funny because it was never really meant to have quote unquote headliners. It was really like a showcase of local people. As it got bigger, we were like, okay, we can bring these people in, and Ron, he would have all his friends who would come and DJ, and then kind of, bigger names who were DJing, but it was never meant to be like this showcase of headliners. And when people weren't paying, they never asked about who's performing. Ever. Because if you know, we wouldn't even release the lineup until the week before.
I remember.
2 weeks before.
Yeah.
We just said block party's coming, and we might have some names here and there, and then, okay, these people are performing, and okay, great. I think when we went to a ticketed event, people were like, "Oh, well, who's performing now?"
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
I think there were so many performances that were dope. Usually, the beginning of block party when we'll have like a choir or something, put that energy on it. Yeah, that's always cool.
Here's a trivia answer. There's one person, the first person who also DJ'd the block party, the first person to play music, was always the opening artist for the first 6 years of the block party. The same DJ.
I know it.
It's a trivia question.
I know it because I was there for most of those.
Reggae.
Oh, how come I don't remember that?
Papa G.
Papa G. George.
Papa G actually was the first DJ to play, and he always started it off.
Yeah, that's right.
For the first 5 or 6. So he'll be back this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
As an ode to the old block party,
that's awesome.
Papa G will be the first DJ to play.
That's perfect. We talked to Eric about the balance of all the different styles of entertainment from all parts of the world. We asked about what kind of vision he may have. If this was to be revisited, meaning that if there was another block party, what would it look like? And we also talk about Eric's personal thoughts on the journey of the block party.
Well, that's very intentional. I mean, that was, again, because the store was in Wicker Park, it was very eclectic.
Yeah.
So I meet all kind of people, right? You meet people from the Chinese drummers circles, and and one of my favorite memories is, you might remember this, we actually recreated an Indian wedding.
Yes, I do remember.
And so we had somebody come out, and they had like what do you call those? A rickshaw.
Yeah.
And they picked out I have a video of it actually.
Yep.
We picked out a woman from the audience, and my friend who's Indian, they took her in the back. They dressed up like an Indian woman and all this stuff. She came out and got married to this guy with the timbalas. I forgot to call the drums. Anyway, it was that kind of stuff that was fun. So it wasn't just about like just this one kind of music, but it's actually very, very, very intentional how we program it throughout the day. That, if you don't like house music, cool. You can go here, reggae, hip hop, jazz, blah, blah. As the day builds, different kind of music kind of builds. But, at the end of the night, okay, we got house over here, we got hip hop over here, we got something alternative over here. So we definitely try and make sure that everybody is getting something at all times of the day.
I think now in my mind, as I'm thinking about it, the Mississippi Mud Kings with the Astor, that was in Wicker Park, killed it. It was mind blowing.
Him, Yao, and
oh goodness. We'll cut this part out in editing.
I know that you know the game that you play.
Yes, and why can't I remember his name?
Around when we stop bullshit. Yeah, anyway, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. I have a video of him performing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kahari Lemuel.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Peace, Kahari Lemuel. That was the first time I got a chance to host with Binky. Mm-hmm. And we have been running back and forth hosting shows together ever since.
Herb Kid, I think, did that year.
Herb. Yeah, Herb. It's been a bunch of interesting
DJ
hosts.
Scratch from EPMD.
So yeah, that day with DJ Scratch, man, that's when I was like, oh shit, this ain't.
But
a
they all
joke.
came out and just did it. Like
Yeah.
nobody was getting paid.
They were like, let's go.
Yeah, we go $100, something like that,
Yeah.
$150. You know, it was like they just kind of come out and did it. You know,
Like, I'll be there, I'll do it, no problem. Yeah,
right.
it's pretty cool. So when we fast forward through all those wonderful memories, and we talk about moving to the beach and what's going to happen this year, and the finality, if you will, of it. It's going to be asked of you often, is this really the last one? I think a fair question to ask you is, if this isn't the last one and you're allowing yourself a chance to space yourself from it, you know, to be able to look at it and be like, man, that was really dope what we did. We worked hard. It worked out. People loved it. Or they didn't, and we did it, and that's done. What kind of vision do you have, without asking what's your next thing you're going to do, but what kind of vision do you have if you were to revisit this?
Well, I think we should back up and, again, kind of talk about how it started. It was never meant to be this. I have to be very clear about this. Right. It was not meant. I wasn't like, oh, I got some plan to grow this thing from 500 people to 50,000.
And 17 years later.
Yeah. So it kind of crept up on you, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like the financial model to make it work does not exist in its current form, you know? Because you're trying to keep it accessible, keep the ticket prices down, you know, do all these things and, you know, not do the VIP thing, which people always say I should do. I just never, that wasn't the point of doing a block party. So all these ways you can get extra money, basically, I think would in some ways hinder the integrity of the event. So, you know, and just to do the event itself is just the structurally, it's just a lot of money. You know, you have park district fees, you have basic infrastructure fees, even outside of the artist fees, just a lot of money. So, I mean, I kind of got to a point where, you know, all of y'all, and I say y'all in this room and the Silver Room staff and my friends are just like, oh, man, I got my friends doing all this work. It's like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like I took this on personally, you know, as a volunteer effort, basically. Now I got my friends doing this and we have other things we could be doing, and the stress of it, it was just kind of a bit much. I think, you know, I never say never. I mean, you know, but as of right now, this is probably it. If it were to come back, it would have to come back in a different way. Either there's some sort of like, you know, somebody's going to write me a check for $1 million.
An angel investor.
An angel investor and say, hey, you know, here's the money to do it. And then you have a staff. I can pay everybody properly. I can, wow, what did I do? Maybe pay myself properly, right?
Maybe, right.
And then it could be free, actually.
Yeah.
If it was something where we have all this money that didn't require, or a little small amount. You know what I mean? Outside of that, I just don't really see the amount of work that goes into it. I'm just kind of like, I need to move on from all this work and focus on other stuff.
I think we really need to impress upon the folks who are going to hear this. In a short period of time, Block Party's coming up very soon. The idea of buying your ticket, if you can attend, still buy a ticket for someone that may want to go. But the people who are going to be there and the installations and all of that, and the idea that this is the last one should be more than enough reason to go. But the Mario Smith Voice of the People Award is getting distributed again. We won't say to who, because we don't want that person to know yet. Just like they got me, and I'm going to get you. But seriously, I like the lineup this year. And I wrote you when it came out, and I said, if this is all, this is more than enough. Moonchild and Mick and, you know, just all these. Who did you say, Stefan? Ninth Wonder is going to be there, man. Come on. That. I mean, it is going to be sonically pleasing and visually pleasing as well. We have food vendors and all that. You get to see Eric. He might not stop because he's busy. Although, I get the feeling this year you're going to not do... You're going to just kind of be able to enjoy it.
Trying to. I mean, this one I look at as an ode to the first one, the first two. It's kind of how I see it.
This is why Stefan is the greatest, because he can hand me stuff so I can read it.
So this one, I personally want to make it more like the first one, the first two, where it's like less infrastructure, the bigness of it is like, let's kind of bring that back to what the essence is, which is the people, actually. So you don't need, all this these big stages. You have a stage, but maybe it's not that big, you know. And so,
although I quite enjoyed last year.
Yeah, that was we had some big. I mean, we had, you know, my friend, we had a festival with a block party budget.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
Those don't
exactly what it was.
You know, those that doesn't necessarily add up. That adds up to a big deficit, which got to figure that one out.
Before I go into the names and stuff, so when you're saying an ode to the old block party, you're talking about the dimension of it is going to be a little bit smaller.
The spirit of it, the dimension, we're going to scale it back. You know, the size of it. I mean, last year it went a lot bigger for a couple of reasons. Number one is was COVID,
right?
And I didn't really have a sense of scale. You know, I knew it was way too crowded over here.
Yes.
But just kind of thinking you know, the actual spatially, what it is from 53rd Street, from from Lake Park down to Dorchester, right? What is that space? And then going out there, it's we have way more space. So I kind of made it too big in some ways, you know? So I think trying to scale it back would kind of give it a little bit more, it would be more intimate in many ways.
Yeah.
To kind of remind you of what it used to be.
Yeah.
And just kind of save on all of the stuff that we were doing. And also the spirit of it too, I think kind of, you know, going back to just what it was about, which is people coming out together and, you know, families and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of what I hope to see. It's not so festival-like, it's more block party-like.
We getting you on the tables?
Man, I should actually. I never played the block party before.
You've never played one.
I should actually.
You spinning it. I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna find you.
Yeah, that should be fun. Actually,
and we'll get you on there.
I still got some little blends in me, man.
I've seen you go. I've heard your work. For folks who don't know, and I don't know how you don't at this point, performances this year: Moonchild, Mick Jenkins, Ron Trent, Rich Medina, my man, Cammie Leroy Burgess with a live band, Tribe, Ninth Wonder, Freddie Old Soul. Come on now. Micah Collier, Megan McNeil, Lady D, DJ Moki, Ovius,
Mochi.
What's that? Mochi. Tony Humphreys, Tall Black Guy. Shawnee's going to be there. DJ Taboo, 3 Degrees. Party Noir is doing something. I was just with the ladies
Ray
on the
Chardonnay.
4th.
Yeah.
Ray Chardonnay. Yeah.
And Malik Youssef just joined on today.
Here we go. He better show up.
He said he had to come back for the last one since he.
It's his turn. He has 11 hours to host the show.
He wants to do a poetry pop-up cipher.
Well, I put some names in, so we will see.
Yeah.
Mario Mars, Doug Jones, Boo Williams, a whole lot more folks. There's a design pavilion. Of course, the kids are the most important part of Block Party, and there'll be a kids stage, but they'll be all over the place doing all kinds of stuff. Food vendors, health and wellness, a lot more stuff coming. If you haven't purchased a ticket yet, go to silverroomblockparty.com and use the code I Know Mario.
Yes.
They get 20% off at checkout. Don't use any Kenneth Pickett code. No, I'm joking. You can use Kenneth's code.
What I'm telling everybody is this. So people say, well, it used to be free. You're right. Well, it was free for you. It was never free for me.
That's right.
So this is your one last time to say thank you for all those years that you didn't pay. You know, you can buy a ticket this time and say goodbye and say thank you. So that would be very, very, I would be honored to have you say thank you.
We close out this special episode of Randomly Selected with words from Eric.
I like people working together, and thank you to Stefan and Angie and Kim Pickett and Susan and Ron and Megan and Raven and everybody else who
Rob McKay,
right? I mean, it's a small team of people who basically just kind of just doing this, you know. So that's fun. End of the day, all of the fighting and the arguing we go through sometimes.
I've seen it.
Then the day of the event, it's you know. But I mean, for me, I love seeing the vendors making money. That's great. I love seeing the first time attendees, first time vendors, first time performers, the emails you get afterwards saying thank you, the photos of all of the laughing and the dancing and the smiling. I mean, that to me is okay, because I don't get to see it the day of, but later I'll see it.
Same.
Oh man, all these people had, this happened. I didn't even know this happened.
All those great pictures that Chris takes.
Yeah, man.
Stop Time Live.
Video Chris, man. Been documenting this for, I think, 17 or 18 years.
Yeah.
So it's just the fun of bringing people together is what I'll miss.
I gotta say, man, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna repeat it whenever that final hour of Block Party comes. This is the longest hosting gig I've ever had in my life. Outside of the radio show I do, I've never done anything this long, relationships included, and it has been a joy of my life to do this, man. I grew up in the performance world, being able to be on that stage and having people being able to see me. It doesn't happen if there's no Block Party. I don't know how. It would have probably just started happening for me, but it accelerated a lot. I got a chance to meet a lot of great people, and see some amazing acts over the years. I do hope that we will be able at some point to list everybody that performed, the ones that we,
Oh man,
if we could do that, it's a lot.
It's probably over 500 people.
Easy.
For sure. Yeah,
Easy.
more
than 500, I bet.
For sure. It's probably close to 1,000.
Not to mention the people who come to the show that put on a show themselves. So it could be more than 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But it has been great, man. And I am, I think the day you called me and it was, you didn't say it, but it felt like, all right, are you sitting down? You better take a seat. I got something to tell you. And I wrangled with my thoughts on it, but I gotta say, man, it's been the most fun I've ever had on a stage ever. And you made me go out and put my face in front of people, and I wasn't the most comfortable in doing that. So I appreciate that.
No worries. Thank you for all these years of dealing with me.
Yeah, well, that's easy, except for that 1 year. That was rough.
I remember that.
That was really rough.
We won't talk about that.
No, we're not. But you a hot boy. Woo. Never seen that. But that's, all the Robinson you came out. It was like Coco Elise's. I'm like, oh, that must be related to the neighborhood. Huh?
It's all good. That's like,
it's all right.
The yin and the yang, man, so.
Congratulations, though, man.
Thank you.
Not a bad resume for you.
No problem. I'm looking forward to it.
You can put that on your CV. You did this. And thanks again for being on. Oh, wow. Thank you for randomly selected. Look at this. I haven't even said that. Thank you.
I listen to the podcast every rip.
Yeah? You haven't yelled at me in a while, so I guess we're doing okay.
I've never yelled at you.
That's it.
I listened to Avery's last night, 2 nights ago.
That was really a good one.
Yeah.
That was really a good one. Avery's silly. Yeah, that was cool. Thank you, man, for being on Randomly Selected, and thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Right on. Thanks for listening, everybody. We cannot wait to see you at Block Party. As we mentioned it a million times during the show, get your tickets as soon as you possibly can. Go to silverroomblockparty.com. Use the code I Know Mario for 20% off. I didn't mean to laugh. And I can't wait to see you all for the very last Silver Room Block Party. Until we meet again on Randomly Selected, be well. Peace.